at it. And it is required very well to also register major social media operators so that we agree, because it is a country. We are not just in a world where we do our things. If we don't have order, we will find ourselves with many challenges. So I want to plead to the young people, what is safe for your sibling who is in the house, who is young? What is safe? What would you love them to see that is good for them? Because you might be an adult, you are able to see. Mr. Speaker, when you look at all the TikToks we've allowed, it has become it's an advertisement platform, yes. Can be used very well to do very many good things for the country. But at the same time, it cannot be an advertisement platform where at night I put it on and decide now it is my time to do all the pornographies that I will want, and yet you know very well tomorrow that same space, any person can still find it. So we are just saying, let us regulate. Let us make it workable for our young people, but also for the minors. And let us protect our country. That is why this Russian man decided to land on us, because he found a place where Kenya, we have democracy beyond democracy, where you can do anything. And you can also decide. That's why he's using the same TikTok to spread all the women. And I don't know what we are still doing with this Russian man, Mr. Speaker, because this is one example where now we say, if our law in Kenya is strict on pornography, how did it end up on our TikToks? How? Those are things we need to deal with. The other thing that you realize, it is also a space where someone just does a crime and feels it's okay to just share this crime. And he will just use TikTok to share the same crime. And we need also the owners of TikTok to start telling us, because they are also responsible. If you have a space, a digital space that you've allowed people to use, then allow also a space to report. Mr. Speaker, it is so difficult to report a TikTok. And so, yeah, it is so difficult to report. It's not like Facebook where I'll go and pick a video, report until they'll pull it down. It is so difficult. And that's why we are saying, even for us, the Communications Authority must also give the people, those who have been given these spaces, who are international digital people, to ensure that they are able to be questioned, they are able to also be remanded when things are going wrong. So, Mr. Speaker, I support and I plead with the young people, let us create a space for both you, but also safeguard your siblings at home and the minors who are in school. I beg to support.
KJ.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you. And I do stand here well cognizant of what direction the chair has given on this debate. That, Mr. Speaker, this debate does not hinge on a banning. We are talking as a country about the regulation of a platform that is in the hands not only of adults in this country, but also very vulnerable young children, Mr. Speaker. And the conversation ought to start with the understanding that regulations and laws can only do so much. That even families, parents, teachers, older brothers and sisters also have a place in this debate, Mr. Speaker. And so the debate that comes to the floor of this House today, Mr. Speaker, must be seen as a policy debate, not a moral panic. Kenya is not in any moral panic, but we must have a conversation around the policies that speak to this technology that is taking us into the fourth industrial revolution and beyond, Mr. Speaker. We also all must remind ourselves that some of these applications are not engineered. They are not made in this country, Mr. Speaker. And so when you get onto a platform and start working with algorithms that are set by somebody out there, the algorithms could be set for pushing marketing, Mr. Speaker, for pushing business. and in the same time, not conscious to the African traditional values that we answer to, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, my point is that one, regulation must protect without strangling innovation. That these innovations are useful for a time such as this, Mr. Speaker. That when we talk about this fourth industrial revolution, we are cognizant that it is driven by innovation, Mr. Speaker. So that even as we debate about these emerging technologies, we ought to remind ourselves that they are here to support enterprise, to support human development, to support education, but at the same time, Mr. Speaker, they must be sensitive to the human component, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it is important that even as we move towards regulation, we understand what the river banks are for this regulation in this new space in what we are calling the fourth industrial revolution. And Mr. Speaker, chairing the Committee on Communication, Information and Innovation, my recommendations on the riverbank, it has to be so clear that we are focusing on a number of issues, Mr. Speaker. Number one, we need to have very clear community standards that are aligned with all the Kenyan laws, Mr. Speaker. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, we must have transparent content moderation processes. Mr. Speaker, the parameters that have been set are set in capitals far away from Nairobi. And even the daily user can tell you that these parameters work differently for each post that they put out. So, Mr. Speaker, we should be working as a parliament towards transparent content moderation processes, Mr. Speaker. Thirdly, Mr. Speaker, there is a need for local accountability and representation in the country, Mr. Speaker, so that every entity that is doing business in this country must follow the old company laws that allow for them to be registered locally, so that what they are doing is also answerable to the laws of the land, Mr. Speaker. We must also have a right of appeal for content takedowns, Mr. Speaker, so that it is not just an algorithm or a computer somewhere deciding on what stays up and what comes down. Mr. Speaker, this again also needs to be very transparent as we go forward. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to say that there is a key need in this country for child safety and mental health, which should be non-negotiable, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we all know how trends on social media work on the brain of a human being. As it is, we know the effect it can have on an adult. We are yet to know fully, Mr. Speaker, what this dependence on social media is just about to do on the little children whose minds are still at the formative stage, where we were told that the mind forms from the age of 0 to around 18, and from there, Mr. Speaker, up to 21, there is a moderation on growth in the mental growth of a human being. So, Mr. Speaker, we must be able to protect our children from explicit content, from gambling and financial scams, extremism and propaganda, harmful body image narratives, Mr. Speaker, so that then we shall be speaking towards that. Finally, Mr. Speaker, we ought to consider this petition very seriously on the case of data sovereignty and national security, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I do pledge for just a minute, Mr. Speaker, so that I prosecute this point. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for according me that 1 minute. Mr. Speaker, we need to come very strongly on the issue of data sovereignty and national security. Mr. Speaker, the committee that I chair, the Committee on Communication, Information and Innovation, started with its first order of business in this parliament by interrogating an individual who had landed in this country with an orb-shaped equipment, which they were collecting human data out of Kenyans by just incentivizing them with a few thousand Kenya shillings, which were not even fiat money. They were being induced using money that they ought to have redeemed using cyber money, Mr. Speaker. And that case alone opened the Pandora's box on what is happening in terms of exploitation of data and data sovereignty against laws that have been passed by this parliament. Because, Mr. Speaker, Kenya leads on the part of data protection. What we're looking for is compliance, adherence, and also policing, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I need to complete by saying that any regulatory framework must insist on compliance with the Kenyan data protection standards. It must be clear disclosure of cross-border data transfers, and it must also speak to the cooperation with Kenyan authorities in lawful investigations. And I want to thank Mr. Bob Ndolo profusely for bringing this to the floor of the House so that we can have a conversation that is fit for a time such as this. That even as Kenya walks into the new land that is digital, we also must protect our people, our children, our women, and the entire populace, Mr. Speaker. And I do thank you, and I support with those very pointed support points that can be fed into this petition, so that as we are prosecuting it as Parliament, we will be very sensitive to what already we have done as a Parliament. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Russell.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Speaker, I beg to support this particular report